evening and welcome to our program Balkans in Europe. I'm Ivana Dragicevic.
And I'm Borjan Jovanovski.
Western European democracies have well-developed civil societies, strong political parties and established media that can provide bulwark against the present challenges that face the continent. But 12 years after the so-called Big Bang in EU enlargement, more and more failures are coming to the surface.
In spite of expectation of democratization in Eastern Europe, countries' processes are developing that are on the complete opposite side of those expected. Authoritarian tendencies are visible in Hungary and Poland. What went wrong? What lessons can be learned from this decade? And what is the real role of the EU in democratization of societies? Today with us we have Ana Claudia Tapardel, from the Socialist Group.
Yes, from the Social and Democrats groups.
Member of the European Parliament from Romania.
Welcome.
And Mr. Dusan Pavlović, a member of Serbian Parliament from the movement Enough is Enough.
Good evening.
I will start with Ms. Tapardel. Romania had really hard work doing its homework, let's say, in the European accession process. The question of transparency of the institutions, reforms in judiciary, and corruption. At certain point of our present history, Romania was kind of a symbol for corruption. Corruption and the structural corruption is also the big issue and one of the biggest issues in the Western Balkans. So can you just give us a short overview of Romanian, let's say, example and where you're standing now at the moment as a new member?
Yes, if we are talking about Romanian integration in the European Union, it was also a very long process. It started in 1993 and it was finished in 2004, but the formal integration in the European Union, it was in 2007. So it was 14 years that we are waiting at the door of the European Union to become member with full rights. Regarding the situation in Romania, yes, it was important for us to have this process of integration, of accession in the European Union, because also this process request from our government to make strong reforms regarding the judiciary system, resolving the corruption problem, the integrity problem, the transpiration problem. So. And also we utilize the European expertise and also the European pre-accession funds to resolve this problem. It was also by the chapter that we had to negotiate it. It was an obligation from our part to resolve these problems. I don't want and I will not accept to say that Romania, it was a symbol of corruption. You know, we have a problem in the Central and Eastern Europe. Usually we are the most powerful, we are criticizing more, with more power our own countries than we criticize the other countries.
But you had a problem in Romania with the corruption.
Yes, we had a problem.
That's why you have a special prosecutor office.
You don't think that in Italy they have problem with corruption, or in France they don't have problem with corruption?
No, on such a high political level, if you agree.
I don't want to remember the former Prime Minister of Italy, you know?
Yeah.
So we have...
back in the 70s, yes.
No. Back a few years ago, I am speaking about the former Prime Minister, about the Mr. Berlusconi. So, no, the reality it was, we had problem with corruption. We made reforms for resolving the problems that we had. And even now we are facing these kind of problems, and our judiciary system, it's working very hard. We have a special department, anti-corruption in Romania. We created this department.
Which was created under the pressure of the European Union.
Not exactly. I think it was also a decision that it was created in 2002, if I'm not wrong. So it was created also by accepting the necessity to resolve our problems with corruption.
Because it
was the common sense, it was the decision of all the political leaders to have this kind of department to face the problems that we had with the corruption in Romania, and also now there are problems, but this is the reality that I want to explain. In fact, all the member states have problems with corruption, but we have to face it and to resolve this problem.
But the question is,
not to put it somewhere in the back, you know, we're not accepting.
Or we are going backwards?
It's very,
as we see the situation in Hungary and Poland, there are some obvious steps backward.
It's very difficult to evaluate the situation in a member state which is not mine. We are, you know,
If I'm reading
the news,
EU institution.
Yes, I am part of the EU institution, but it was a discussion that we had before starting the show. I can't have expertise in every field. You know, I am member of the Budget Committee, of the Constitutional Affairs Committee, and member of the Transport and Tourism Committee. So if I will be a member of the Jury Committee here in the European Parliament or the Libe Committee, I will have more expertise to discuss about these things. Also, it's very difficult to make an opinion about based on what you are reading in the newspapers. So, of course, that you mentioned these two states, and of course, it's clear that they have problem with corruption. But the problem, you know, I'm always saying, let's not discuss only about the problems. Let's discuss about the solutions that we have.
Mr. Pavlović, you were known in the Serbian public as a, let's say, political scientist, as an expert, and you entered into politics, and you are now the member of the parliament. Why that happened?
Well, in a very colloquial few words, I've had it. So I was sick and tired of watching a society and political system and economic system which is going nowhere. And it's been like that for the past 14, 15 years. Yeah. So in terms of fight against corruption, which is one, I think, of the major problems for all Western Balkan societies, we really didn't improve almost anything. But the interesting thing started to happen over the past 5 or 6 years. I'm talking about Western Balkan countries, so Bosnia, Macedonia, Montenegro, Serbia. In terms of democratic progress, we really can see the deterioration. I mean, worsening of condition. If you take, for example, democracy score that was produced annually by Freedom House's publication Nations in Transit, you can see very clearly for all these 5 countries that it's going down. Yeah, so democratic process is going down. We see more and more authoritarian tendencies. Democratic institutions are violated all over the place. And it is an interesting thing because I think one of the reasons why this is happening is because of the very superficial and very shallow European integration process, which applies to all these countries. So all these countries are candidates for the membership in European Union, but because the process is so superficial and so shallow and looks only at the form, we see that the outcome of this process in terms of democratic development and economic development too, is actually the opposite of what it should be. So the European integration process used to be kind of a boost in the 90s for all these countries which were transforming themselves and going towards European Union. Now it seems to be the opposite. I mean,
but you said it's a shallow process. But do you think that our societies, let's say in the Western Balkans and a little bit broader picture, including, you know, Bulgaria, Romania, Turkey, if you want, Greece, do we need this, you know, carrot and bat system, or is, you know, this inner transformation thing is possible at the end? Because if you only, you know, need to transform because someone tells you to transform and you don't see that it's good, I don't know, for you at the end, so is it going to be forever? Maybe for both of you like this, because we're deadlocked for a really long time now.
Yes, I think that it's a combination. It has to be an inner decision of transformation. So the decision makers in the Western Balkans should be very much involved in this process of transforming their countries in putting in the right place the democratical principle, respecting the justice, respecting the media, because I know also the problem that we have with the free media in Western Balkans. But also I think the chapter that you negotiate with the European Union determines the Western Balkans also to change some of the aspects related to the democracy in the the countries. So it's a combination of them. It was also in Romania and Bulgaria. So we wanted very much to be members of the European Union. So at the moment of the integration, we were a very pro-European country, and we made all the efforts to fulfill all the conditions in the negotiation period, because we wanted to be member of the European Union. So we accepted the rule, and we followed the rule that were imposed by the European Union at that moment to become members. We are very, just a little bit, we have to be very realistic, because we tend to make this comparison with Italy, with Germany, with France. I'm always telling also in my country, we are struggling here as the members of the parliament, our representative in the European Council, in the European Commission. We are struggling to support our countries. But we have to accept that Italy was from the beginning of the European Union, you know. Spain and Portugal, they are members from, I don't know, 25 years. So they are at the table for a very, very long time. So for a country like Romania, or even for your countries, which are not still members of the European Union, it will be a very long process to have the same standards as these member states, because we don't, for example, Romania is member for 10 years.
Okay, what process of negotiation brought to Romania in the terms of transformation of the society? Could we compare the process of negotiation of Romania with this one in Serbia? And what are the effects of the negotiation process in Serbia?
I think that the European Union actually is doing a much worse job now than it used to do 10 years ago.
Why
and
so?
20, I will explain. So, and 20 years ago, because as I said, it used to be a boost for democratic reform. Now it used to be something which brings democratic reform down and helps the political elite that is transforming the country into the wrong direction.
Why do you think so?
Now, let me give you, and to answer your question directly. So, it would be, of course, the best if we could transform ourselves, right? And I can assure you there are some political parties which have this inner push to transform without, I mean, irrespective of what the European Union says or the IMF says or the World Bank says, right? But the point is that at this moment, I mean, currently the European Union is actually helping the wrong guys. Right. So, I mean, from this carrot and the stick policy, you can see only carrots, a lot of carrots for the wrong guys. And let me give you
You think it's helping guys because these guys have been elected by the people, or they are trying to help country and elected governments of these countries?
Nominally, the European Union is helping the country, right? But it's actually helping the political elite, which is currently in the office. You know, of course, this political elite is elected, but in a process which is democratically very questionable.
But when you say helping, in what way are they helping the political elite? In what way Brussels is helping Alexander Vučić?
Yeah. There are things that European officials could do, but they're not doing. And I will give you one concrete example. You know, the European officials could say, very, very short sentence, no secret contracts. When the government, when the state is signing a contract with some private investor or some private professional management of some other company, such contracts should be public. Should be publicized, I mean, everybody should see them. But let me give you an example of Smederevo steel factory from 2015. The Smederevo steel factory has been in troubles for decades, right? And then the Prime Minister announced a professional management in 2015, which will bring this company finally up from their knees and launch them into economic market of the Europe, and which will transform the region and Serbia and everybody else. So it was announced as a kind of extremely good solution. Mm-hmm. The professional management came to the company, 12 people who were paid extremely good money. Right? 1 year on, the steel factory declares a loss in the amount of 144 million euros. The company is now has to pay this debt, which will basically be paid by the citizens of Serbia. right? The management is gone, nobody is guilty. And that contract which was made between the government of Serbia and this professional management was secret. And nobody blinks an eye when this was, some things which would never be done in European Union, which European officials would never support in their home countries, they are just pretending not to see in Serbia and some other countries.
You do have some example in Romania for such attitude of the European Union towards
let's be very clear. I understood which was the problem, but we have. I hope that you are not an Eurosceptic, because now the reality in the European Union is very difficult. So we are facing in the last years, we are facing the Greek crisis debt. We are facing the terrorist attack. We are facing the problem with Brexit. We are also facing the migration problem. So it's very difficult for the European Union in this moment. And also, I think the European Union is in a process of reforming itself in this moment. But I am very convinced that the European Union is not supporting, in a way, the leaders from your country. But it's very normal that the representatives and the European institutions to collaborate and to work together with the government representatives of elected representatives of your country. So
and who are publicly committed to European Union,
which were elected by the people, by the citizens from Serbia and from the other Balkan countries. So this is the problem. Also, the European Union has this chapter of negotiation, so they have to fulfill the conditions in the chapter of negotiation, and also they are offering European funds for resolving this kind of problems. So, in a way or another, for example, I will be very reserved in commenting the problem that you presented in this moment, because I'm not an international prosecutor or something like that.
Okay, but I'm not a Eurosceptic. I mean, to the contrary. I'm just saying that the European integration policy is now wrong. I mean, it's wrongly directed. And let me give another example, which will be more easy to understand. Media freedom. I come from a political organization which is the fourth strongest political organization in the country after the last elections, which we held in April this year. So the fourth strongest. So in the parliament, we are the fourth strongest. Neither I nor the leader of my organization, nor everybody else from our organization has been on public TV once after the April election. Once. So, you can see Prime Minister every now and again. You can see lots of other ministers from the government. Every minute you switch on public TV, but you can't see anybody from the opposition, And then the European official who is dealing with the enlargement, Mr. Hahn, comes to Serbia to visit Aleksandar Vučić, and
asking for the arguments.
And journalists ask him, do you know there is a media freedom restrictions in this country? And he says, give me a proof for that. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's your job to find this proof.
Well, how important was, during the process of the integration of Romania in the European Union, how important was the support from the European institutions for the civil society in Romania?
Yes, I think the civil society in Romania received a lot of support
independent media, civil society, and all this stuff which are very important for European values.
I must confess that in Romania we didn't have this kind of problem with the press, with the free press and with the free media. So it's a surprise for me that the representative of the opposition in your country can't express their public opinion in the public television. I must confess that it's a surprise, and it's a very strong signal of alarm. But I know that this kind of problem, I'm not member of the AFET committee, it's the Committee of External Affairs here in the European Parliament, but I know that every year, and more than once per year, there are reports regarding the evolution of the accession states in the European Union. And these kind of problems are discussed and debated in the AFET committee. So I don't know exactly which was the declaration that the Commissioner for Enlargement negotiation made in your country, But we are aware of these questions, and we are raising signal alarms regarding the respect that should be given to the civil society, to the opposition representatives in the Western Balkans. So.
Just for a comparison, I mean, I'm trying to find out the differences between two approaches. How important is now the civil society for the approach that the European Commission adopted towards, I mean, in the process of negotiation with Serbia?
Well, I would say that the civil society...
Is there any support for the civil society,
I would say,
media?
I mean, from the government? From the Serbian government?
I'm asking about the European Commission.
Oh, well, I think they should support it as well. They should support the opposition in all these countries, and which is something that the European Union is currently not doing.
But why should they support the opposition? Support the enlargement. That's the policy. I have to argue with you. The policy of EU is to respect what Ms. Tapardel said, the negotiation process, chapters and standards of the EU being, you know, inside of that. I don't understand.
That's fine. Okay, that's fine, and I agree. But can you support the enlargement process without supporting democratic process? And what currently is European officials who are dealing with the Western Balkan countries doing, they are not doing this. I mean, they're simply not doing what's required to support democratic process. You know, we don't have time to tell you all the details how the electoral process is corrupt itself.
But maybe that's why, you know, the process of accession is standing still.
Exactly, this is
standing still, because you have to transform, you have the rules, you have to transform, and we will wait until you do it. There is no physical force to do it. You have, you know, the chapters, and you should work on the chapters. We have an experience from Romania. I can tell you about Croatian experience. It's not a fairy tale in, you know, both examples, for example, but that's the kind of, you know, rules.
I would accept that if I heard a European official and if I read some kind of official requirement, no secret contracts from today on. Or if I would hear somebody saying, look, everywhere you had a corruption in electoral process, meaning you stole some votes, you have to reverse that. But I'm not hearing this. Do you have a
proper dialogue, institutional dialogue within the process of negotiation as opposition, civil society, with the European Commission in order to share this information?
Formally, we do it. That's what I tell you. It's very superficial and shallow process. Formally, everything's fine. You have all these channels, mechanisms, all these institutions where government official and European officials meet and discuss. But when you get to this nitty-gritty of democratic process, you see lots of things which are not happening.
No.
You know, media freedom are the shocking example. I think that the European officials in the broader sense and the public, they have no clue what's happening in Macedonia, in Montenegro and in Serbia vis-a-vis media freedoms. I mean, media freedoms are in danger almost everywhere in the world, but the Balkan sphere, in terms of deterioration of media freedoms, this is something really serious. I mean, I'm just repeating, not only that I, as a member of the fourth strongest political organization in Serbia, didn't have an access to media. Not everybody else who is in the opposition doesn't have that access, and that's very worrisome.
Any recommendation to finish?
Yes, I have to say that
the opposition, for example, how to use the European mechanism
they told me that, of course, that the meetings are formal, because how can be meetings with the European representative and European institution? Of course that if the problems regarding respecting the democracy, respecting the media freedom are not evolving in your countries, this is the problem. So the negotiation process is not evolving. This is the answer that the European institution is giving to the Balkan member states, because this is the problem. It was the same in Romania and in Croatia. If you don't want to evolve using the tools that the European, please let me to finish, that the European Union is offering to you, we can't oblige you to evolve. So in the same time, I am a member of the European Parliament, and I am elected by the citizens from my country. So in the same way, if I will go to an official visit in Serbia, for example, I will have to meet the representative of your country, which are elected by the citizens of your country. So this is the way that the democracy is functioning.
I know, I'm officially
Also,
elected by citizens of my
yes,
country.
exactly. So I will meet you, but in a formal way, and I am very aware of the problems that you are raising, but you know, we don't have to see the European Union, I don't know, like a landlord that it's
giving
and
No,
it's
may I just
forbidding and
quickly
it's
answer, yeah.
putting, I don't know, it's
No, but
putting somebody in the corner in your own country.
To call black and white.
Yes,
No, look,
it never.
Sometimes there are
grayish things inside.
gray zone.
But look,
in
look.
which
Look the
EU official
geopolitical.
are okay, but
Look the
Geopolitical-
geopolitical context that we are facing now. So we have to face the own reality.
Yeah.
Look, I agree with you what you said, and you too, that things are not evolving. So I mean, you have to guys to transform yourself. But my point is, it's not evolving because the European official helps. Oh, of course they do help.
No.
They do help these guys because they turn the blind eye to what is being done
I
there.
will refuse to accept some accuses that this kind of accuses. Maybe this is a very good rhetoric in your own country by to come here to Brussels to accuse the European institution of something that is not evolving in your country.
I can just repeat. I
can tell you that is not a very good attitude.
I can just repeat what
a country has to resolve, and you as a member of your own country has to resolve your problems inside your country, not to have a fight with the European Union.
Okay.
The European Union, it's your partner, and it will always be. For example, I am a member of the TRAN committee, and I'm working on a report regarding the improvement of infrastructure in the Central and Eastern Europe. And me, together with my colleagues, we proposed in the TEN-T network also to include the Western Balkans, because we are expecting from the Western Balkan countries to come together to be members of the European Union. And
because they're in the corridors.
Exactly, exactly. So we are giving the support, but this kind of problems should be resolved inside your country with the support, which can be the expertise or the pre-accession funds.
okay.
Oh my God, a lot of things open. So we'll see where the process of negotiations of the European Union will end at the Western Balkans, facing all this external and internal crisis in European Union. I want to thank our dear guest, Ms. Tapadel, member of the European Parliament for Social Democrats from Romania, and Mr. Dusan Pavlovic, the member of Serbian Parliament. Thank you very much for being our guest.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching us.
Thank you, but goodbye.